I just got home and found my wife dead in the bathtub.
Did you say your wife is dead?
Yes, I did. She has an approximately 1-inch incision midway up her right thigh, dissecting the femoral artery.
Only a monster would take away a loving mother and wife from her family. But what is a monster? In the Oxford Dictionary, there are 14 different meanings of the word monster. To connect with our discussion, we'll use a noun that is stated by the Oxford Dictionary as a person of repulsive, unnatural characteristics or exhibiting such extreme cruelty or wickedness as to be appeared inhuman. A monstrous example of evil, a vice. Given this brief definition and meaning of the word monster, what is the first thing you imagine when you hear the word monster? If you feel at best comfortable commenting, feel free to do so. But to move forward, all this talk about monster, what is a monster, what makes a monster, it has me curious of what makes Dexter Morgan a monster. The common answer to everyone is him being a serial killer. And I agree, Dexter has a high amount of bodies piled up that he took it out. But it's not the only thing that makes him a monster. It's what he believes in that makes him a monster. Dexter Morgan had witnessed the murder of his mother at the age of 3, as his mother was butchered into pieces by a chainsaw right in front of him as a child. Honestly, that's overwhelming to actually imagine a child to go through such experience. And to Dexter's adopted father, Harrison Morgan, he also believes this experience was so overwhelming that it mentally distraught Dexter deep. So deep that he would grow an interest in blood, butchering, and killing. An interest so strong his adopted father, Harry, could only manipulate Dexter in controlling this behavior. Dexter's trauma was too deep to fix. Harry had manipulated Dexter to only murder which he saw was criminals most deserving, a code to live by, or to Dexter, a reason to fill his lust for blood and death. Dexter truly believed this was the only way for him to live amongst people, and he would be doing society a favor by doing this. Obsession, an idea or thought that continuously preoccupies or intrudes a person's mind. What is important? What we obsess over that feels like we can't live without, or live without the people we love most?
Rita's inside. It was me. If what you deserve is a white picket fence, and your kids all around, and a husband who loves you, what if the least you deserve is a real human being, and what you get instead is me?
During season 4 of Dexter, we have the main antagonist, the Trinity Killer, who actually kills in 4 instead of 3. But this serial killer was named Arthur Mitchell. Now, Dexter discovered Arthur early on in the season, but he didn't take him out because he discovered Arthur's secret. Other than getting away with murder for over 3 decades, he discovered this Trinity Killer has a loving family. Dexter took discovery of Arthur Mitchell deeper. He wanted to learn how Arthur was able to live this regular life. Because Dexter is now a family man. He has his own son with Rita. He's a stepdad to her kids, and they live in a nice house with festering neighbors. And more importantly, Rita is now his wife. He has more at stake this season. In the beginning, this could be hard for a lot of people to adjust to, especially, working as a forensics for law enforcement and secretly being a serial killer. To Dexter, Arthur was living the dream. So, Dexter wanted to be in on this dream, to pursue his obsession and still continue to be there for his family, leaving Dexter without having to compromise his obsession or family for either or. In reality, for a human or a monster, that doesn't work. There would always be a sacrifice to fulfill yourself temporarily or to fulfill yourself in the long term. Dexter chose this decision unknowingly, as his decision was to pursue Arthur to learn from him. Instead, the only thing Dexter truly learned from Arthur was how grave of a monster Arthur Mitchell truly was, because he wasn't only a monster to his victims, but he was a monster to his loved ones as well. Arthur Mitchell's family was a hidden disaster of monumental abuse and suffering due to Arthur's deep monster hidden within him. The forms of physical, emotional, and psychological abuse were all presented in a household of Arthur. An example I can provide is the physical abuse Jonah, who is Arthur's son, went through. In one episode, Jonah had conflictions between him and his father in the short term, and Arthur caused Jonah to have an outrage. And to Jonah, as being a young teenager, his self was to retaliate by breaking his father's car windshield. But when Arthur had discovered his car windshield being broken, Jonah had blamed it on a car accident, doing his best to make an excuse to not allow his father to find out he was responsible. Arthur had seen outrage, but didn't act on this emotion, due to Dexter being right in front of the two, and he didn't want to outlash in front of Dexter, revealing his true self, revealing the true side of his family and how he treats them. So later on, disclosed to only Arthur and Jonah, Arthur had grabbed one of Jonah's fingers and snapped it in half. Jonah's response was to immediately cover his mouth, to not make any sounds or alarm anyone else in the house, like if it was routine, to keep it hidden of all the abuse, physically, psychologically, and emotionally. It is all sickening to have your family in fear, manipulating them to your own say-so. That is worse than a monster. To categorize Dexter as the same type of monster as Arthur is far-fetched, but Dexter is still aligned with being this monster, his own type of monster that he does portray himself as.
Tonight's the night, and it's going to happen again and again. It has to happen. It's not what I want, but what I want doesn't matter. This is the only way I know how to survive.
Those numerous amount of nights Dexter had prioritized ahead of his own life wasn't just consuming, but life-changing. We can simply compare Dexter's obsession with death as an addiction, which was also illustrated to be the case in season 2 with his relationship with Lila. As he was going to those AA meetings, Dexter had only strictly gone to those AA meetings to make Rita believe he had a drug addiction after framing Paul for failing his parole. But Dexter starts to notice changes in his behavior while trying to act like he was in recovery for an addiction. These changes were restrained from his actual addiction with death. Unfortunately, Dexter started to continue the pursuit of his addiction due to his belief of what he was doing would never leave his life, but that what he was doing was helping so many people in his belief, which came to the unfortunate brainwashing and manipulation that was caused by Harry, his adopted father. Where I would like to ask you, the audience, your standpoint in this matter. Do you believe Dexter holds a full accountability from his violent addiction, or would you presume Harry holds a grave accountability for Dexter's actions and obsession with death? The reason I throw this question onto you, audience, is only because I can also confuse myself or altercate from both perspectives of Dexter being fully accountable, being the monster he is, which I still do believe he's the monster he is in both standpoints, but I also can be straightly in the side to see how this is really the cause of Harry's manipulation and brainwashing from a young child. But as I said, the unfortunate truth is why the thumbnail and title of this video is named the way it is. Because there is only one person who held the hand to sin. That is Dexter Morgan. In the end, we had to face what's truly given to us watching this series. The people Dexter loved is truly gone because of his own monster, because of that dark passenger he sets besides. Rita and Deborah are gone because Dexter chose to be his own monster.
That's right, motherfucker. It's over.
Jesus Christ, Morgan. Jesus fucking Christ. You're the Bay Harbor Butcher.
I really hate that name.
Jesus Christ, man.
You said that.
I always knew there was something with you.
What can I say? You were right about me. Never held it against you. I'm happy for you.
Shut the fuck up. Let's get this over with. Put him on. Morgan, you're done. Give it up.